But yeah, I look, and in the introduction to the book, the author's note, I say, we photograph because we like what we see. That's what another photographer wrote in one of his books. And I just look for things that just resonate, you know. If it can be anything. It can be a building. It can be something in nature. It can be a tree. It can be an animal. Anything that I think, hey, that would make an interesting picture. And I think the key word that I look for is expressive. If I can make something expressive out of a subject, if I think it will make an expressive picture, because you can photograph a lot of things and then you get home and go to the darkroom or look at your digital images on the screen, and there's nothing there. I think the key to photography, really, to expressive photography, is just shoot a lot of different things and see if it works. If you know, you learn after a while what's going to work and what's not going to work. But I look for light, the way light strikes something, the way the shadows are cast, the way the sun affects certain surfaces, things like that. Those are things I look for, and if it can produce an expressive photograph, I'll take a crack at it. Sometimes it works. Ansel Adams said, if you can produce a dozen good photographs in a year, you're doing pretty good. So you have to try and fail a lot, and you have to not let yourself get too discouraged when whatever you shot doesn't work.
Well, what you talk about, shooting what resonates and what creates an expressive photograph, is kind of at the heart of the whole photography as art controversy. When photography first came about, the Academy then, you know, it's not art, it's just mere recording. And Edward Stieglitz and those people, and then a little later Ansel Adams, really put that to bed. But there are people still who think, well, it's just recording. And no, I mean, well, it's not.
You have to, the whole idea is to make it beyond just a record of something. It's got to have sort of an intangible kind of something in it that connects with the viewer. It's got to be something that will touch the viewer in some way.
Well, I was going to show you were talking about your interest in light, and there are two pictures. One is this the 7th Street? Oh, it's the Paddock Viaduct,
North
and
Main,
this reflection in North Main. And one of my favorite artistic things is transparency and light and reflection. It's so hard to capture, and that's just a wonderful photograph. As well as this one, The Foggy Day. This is also the Paddock Viaduct. You spent a lot of time under that bridge.
Well, my grandfather worked on the construction crew that built that bridge in 1914.
So you've got family pride in that building.
Yes, indeed.
That's interesting. So you just go out in your car, you and Rita go, and you just start grazing with your camera, or just with
with my eyes first.
Just with your eyes.
And if I see,
now, does she drive?
She does, yeah. Now she does. I have some visual problems now that I can't drive anymore, but I used to drive some. But if I was looking for pictures, I'd say, "Why don't you drive for a while? Let me look for a while," and we'd go that way. And so. Most of the time when I'm looking for pictures, she drives, and I just scan, you know, what's out there, and I'll say, hold it, you know, stop here, and she'll make suggestions, and sometimes she'll spot things that I'll say, nah, I don't think that'd make a very good picture, but sometimes she'll hit on something.
Sometimes she's right.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and so we kind of work as a team in that, or, you know.
Well, I've noticed you all work very well as a team in life.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So do you go every day?
Oh, no. This is mainly just on the weekends.
On the weekends.
And it's, yeah, and it's declined considerably since I've retired and since I've started having eye trouble. You know, a half-blind photographer is not much use, but I can still see well. I have to shoot. For most of my life, I shot with my right eye. Okay. About 3 years ago, I had some problems with my optic nerve, and it cut me down to about 30% vision in that eye. Yeah, but my left eye is still good enough that I can.
Well, it might bring a whole new
it does.
left brain, right brain sort of thing.
It does. It's very different. So you know, I still get out and shoot. Not as much as I used to, but it used to be a fairly regular thing that on the weekends, on Saturday or Sunday, we'd drive out around the city or to one of the little towns out in surrounding areas and shoot pictures. Quite a few pictures in the book are made in little towns like Weatherford and Granbury and Glen Rose and Waxahachie and places like that. So I guess that goes back to my West Texas roots and my small town roots. I kind of enjoy that.
And things that are disappearing.
That's true too, even in the small towns.
Well, as I said, we collaborated on this book for TCU Press, and it was so much fun for the TCU Press staff. How was it getting your first photography book published?
It was wonderful. I mean, it's something I dreamed about my whole life. It came about in a very strange way. Do you want to hear the...
Well, we got about 2 minutes left, so...
Well,
I do want to hear that. That was going to be one of my questions.
Okay. I'd mentioned that after the gallery owner in Dallas turned me down, I kind of got discouraged.
Right.
And I focused,
hurt your feelers.
Yeah, and I started focusing on writing more than photography, and I wrote a couple of books. Well, I had a point there where I had a lot of downtime and nothing to do, and I started looking through some of my old photographs, and I thought, these are pretty good, you know, there's some pretty good work here. And so I put them on a website, put about, I don't know, 50 pictures on a website, and showed them to my friends, you know, told my friends to link to that website. And this one friend who is an editor at the University of Missouri Press in Columbia, Missouri, she said, you ought to show those to somebody at TCU Press. She knew Judy and had, you know, knew a little bit about the TCU Press. She said, show those to Judy. So I emailed Judy and asked her to look at the website, and she wrote back and said, let's do a book.
Great.
So, you know, it just happened.
And we're so thrilled because we just fell in love with you and Rita. You know, we really collaborated on this book.
And
we're so pleased to have such a beautiful thing to show for the collaboration. So
I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and I'm very happy with the collaboration with TCU Press. You guys have just been wonderful.
Well, I said it was going to be a mutual love fest.
Yeah.
No, you're the best. No, I'm. Just a second before we close, two of the Poets Laureate of Texas were in town this week. We had an event at TCU, and I gave this book to the current Poet Laureate of Texas, and he started thumbing through, and he said, does this guy know how good he is?
Wow.
And it was so, you know, we were telling him how nice you were and how much we enjoyed working with you. And he said, does this guy realize how good he is? And I said, well, yes and no. He's a nice man, and he's a fabulous photographer. We're at the end of time. We've been talking today to Phil Vinson, local photographer extraordinaire of Fort Worth, A Personal View. This has been Books in Review. I'm Susan Petty. Thank you so much for watching.